Hey folks, how's it going? In this video, I kind of want to talk about the hiring mistakes that I personally have made as a founder over the last 3 years. This is not my first time hiring an employee or rather someone in my team. I've hired before, but in the capacity of an employee of another company. Now I pay from the company's pocket, which I need to manage. Recently, we hired someone for social media and the person left the job today. And I think, unlike the previous hires, I had this feeling that the person was going to leave the job. And I'm going to show you why I got that gut feeling and how you can avoid making this mistake. So, we did typically at our company, we have, let's say, 3-4 rounds of interviews. We have a basic telephonic round, and then we call the person in person to the office for the second round. We do the third round with a co-founder and the fourth round with me as the final founder. There could be assignments as well as we go through these interview rounds. But broadly, 3, 4, 5 rounds is what we usually look at. We do pay them competitive, we do give them decent raise as opposed to what they were initially getting or what the average pay would be in the market. Now, first thing to note is that if you don't pay your people well, they might join you temporary, but they will not be committed to the cost, which is very, very important for a startup. So what were the mistakes that I made in this hire, right? The person who just left this morning. One of the good things that I want to clarify why this is good, because if a person is not going to be around for a very long time, or maybe at least a year and a half, it's good if they quit early. It does hurt the morale of people who've been working, but trust me, it hurts way less than it would if they spent, let's say, months underperforming when you have to let them go. If they spend decent amount of time and then they leave the company, because you're paying the salary without really getting much out of the person per se. So how do you identify if the person is a good fit or not for the company? At least in this case, there were a couple of signs. The first sign was the person wasn't very clear why they had quit their previous job. We asked her, or rather him, multiple times about why they left the previous job. They weren't very clear. And the answers were more on the lines of contradictory. So they said they were bored with the job, and at the same time, they said there was too much to do. That's your first sign. If the person is contradicting their own statements, they're trying to bluff you. We knew that the person was trying to bluff us, but then we thought maybe the person just needs a fresh start, and that's why we hired them. Second, the person will be unclear with respect to what they want to do a few years down the line. When I was speaking to them, I asked what they were looking for 5 years down the line. The person had no direction, which means the person wasn't really interested in taking the job. They were taking it for some sort of pressure they were getting from the external entity. They may not be interested in the job they're getting and so on. In this case, we realized that this was also the problem with the person we were hiring, but we went ahead and decided to give them a shot anyways, because we felt that they just want a fresh start and a more friendly environment. The third problem is that if they are complaining too much about their previous hire, it's a red sign, because the minute you hire them, they're going to start relating the flaws they had in the previous company and put you in the same box. Fourth, if the person gossips a lot, is talking around in your company, asking the wrong questions and so on, you know that the person is not going to be there for very long in the company. So these are some of the things, and obviously there are a bunch of other things, and I'll speak about those as we go through these videos on a more regular basis. But there are ways you can minimize the damage that certain kind of hires do to your company. And I think one of the most popular ways is to have a training period in place, where before you hire them full time, you have some sort of training period or internship in place to ensure they are happy with the company and you are happy with hiring them. Second, ensure that the person is joining your company not because they hate their previous job, but they really want to evolve in their current job and they have a direction in mind to move forward. Third, if the person has done decent amount of research, that kind of gives you a good sign that they're desperately looking for a job. And rather, if not desperately, they're very proactive with what they want to do in their job. So we look for these good signs in people when we are trying to hire them. Now, this person had more negative points than positive points, but since we were hiring for a social media manager, which isn't very technical, we thought maybe why not give it a shot. We hire the person and see how it goes. The good thing is they left early, so we don't have to scramble a lot after they left per se. The worst part is that these so-called employees have caused problems in the past, which is now forcing startups to make certain rules. So the person who didn't show up, did not answer any of our calls, just sent an email in the morning that they'll not show up. There was no prior intuition. Obviously, we had this gut feeling, but they didn't really, proactively answer calls and speak to us about this. They just decided to not show up, even though we agreed to have a 7 day notice period. And again, we wouldn't force people to be around if they don't want to be around. But there is a set of guidelines that you would follow in a typical scenario like this. The other negative signal, if you already have hired the person, is that they get very little involved in discussions, even though they are new. Now, there could be two scenarios. The person is genuinely, introvert and they don't talk a lot, or they could genuinely not get involved because they are not interested. If it's the second one, know that they have either lost interest to begin with, or they're not interested in what you have to offer. This specific person left because they felt the kind of job we were offering did not offer them enough creative time to think about solving problems. Now, you guys tell me, in the age of AI, do we have enough time to really manually write content? Do we have enough time to think about everything creative when you have zero followers on social media? If the best way to onboard a startup and test the waters would be to ensure that you give them tasks upfront. Think of them as a part of the team from day one. Don't make them wait for a week, because once they get in that zone, they get used to that zone. And when you start expecting things out of them, it's going to take you another learning curve to get them up to speed. These are some of the lessons that I've learned. Outside of this, I've been very busy today with respect to prompt engineering that we've been doing on Ollie Social. Trust me, the comments that we're generating now are awesome. And if you guys have been customers, you will see the update coming very, very soon. But in this video, I just wanted to talk about these hiring mistakes, good things and the bad things about hiring. And I hope this gives you some direction with respect to the pointers that you should look out for as a founder if you're hiring. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.